Emotion detection with machine learning, a data collection method for assessing the quality of service. Assessing the quality of a service, an experience, or a product is a process of high importance for businesses as well as academics. Businesses usually try to find areas where they can improve on in order to provide a better service or product and gain a competitive advantage over their competition. Academics assess the quality of a service to find tolerance boundaries, to develop guidelines and best practices, to measure the impact of certain aspects of a product or service, and so on. In this video, we will go through the existing data collection methods for quality of service assessment. Then, we'll focus on the most popular method, and finally, a new data collection method will be presented. To collect data for quality of service assessment, very specific and well-established methods are used: observations, interviews, focus groups, and surveys. The most used method for both the business sector as well as academics is the survey. But why is this the case? Why are questionnaires preferred to the other data collection methods? After looking through academic literature, blog posts, and online articles, the most important reasons can be summed up to the following 6. Inexpensiveness. They are cheap to administer. The only costs are those associated with printing or designing the questionnaires and their postage or electronic distribution. Practicality. They're not labor-intensive. Guidance, software, and tools are widely available for constructing questionnaires. Questionnaire can be sent and returned by posts or email, completed on the web, or handed directly to the respondent, who completes it on the spot and hands it back. Furthermore, you're able to reach your audience in the moments that matter. For instance, while they're browsing your products, as they read your content, or as soon as they've made a purchase. Questionnaires also allow users time to consider their responses, a distinct advantage over face-to-face or telephone methods. Quickness. They can be sent out quickly and the turnaround can be relatively short. An email questionnaire can gather several thousand responses within a day or two. Scalability. They allow for a greater geographical coverage without incurring the additional costs of time and travel. Ease of analysis and visualization. User responses can be pre-coded, eliminating transcription errors, and the data is usually in an electronic format, allowing for easy analysis without the hassle of digitizing it. Anonymity. This can be particularly advantageous if a topic is felt to be sensitive or socially embarrassing to discuss face-to-face. So, now we know why questionnaires have become so popular. However, they're not perfect. There are several disadvantages when using questionnaires to perform quality of service assessment. Dishonest answers. Respondents may not be 100% truthful with their answers. This can happen for a variety of reasons, including social desirability bias and attempting to protect their privacy. Differences in understanding and interpretation. The trouble with not presenting questions to users face-to-face is that each may have different interpretations of your question. Hard to convey feelings and emotions. A questionnaire cannot fully capture emotional responses or feelings of respondents, which is crucial, especially when assessing the subjective quality of a service or a product. Some questions are difficult to analyze. Open-ended questions allow for individualized answers which cannot be quantified and must be reviewed by a human. Furthermore, if you make questions too difficult or confusing to answer, you may end up with meaningless data. Respondents may have a hidden agenda. As with any sort of research, respondent bias can be an issue. Lack of personalization. Questionnaires are impersonal, which disincentivizes respondents from paying enough attention when answering questions. Unconscientious responses. There's no way to know if the respondent has really understood the question or read it thoroughly before answering. At times, answers will be chosen before fully reading the question or all potential answers. Respondents will skip through questions or make split-second choices, affecting the validity of your data. Furthermore, you may receive duplicate responses and instructions may completely be ignored. Accessibility issues. No matter what form of delivery is used, lack of accessibility is a threat. Surveys may be unsuitable for users with visual or hearing impairment or other impairments such as illiteracy. Questionnaire or survey fatigue. We've all received survey invitations and the trend of companies using customer feedback surveys is up. This means that some level of survey fatigue is setting up in the respondents. In general, being asked questions by a sympathetic listener is experienced as more rewarding by respondents than the chore of filling in a form for some anonymous researcher. Depth and quality of the information collected. It is a challenge to design an adequate questionnaire and a debate within the academic community as to whether the data collected by questionnaires can be relied on. Out of all previously mentioned methods, they produce the lowest quality data. So to sum up, the most prominent pros of using questionnaires to other methods are their low cost, their practicality, and the quickness. And their biggest disadvantage is the low quality of the data collected. So, we need a data collection method that can provide more reliable data than questionnaires and is cheaper, more practical, and faster than observations, interviews, and focus groups. Does it exist? Introducing emotion detection with machine learning. This method includes the utilization of machine learning techniques which analyze the facial expressions of the participants in order to derive their emotional state. We will briefly go through an example of how this has been implemented. In the publication Multimodal Assessment of Network Music Performance, the quality of music experience was being assessed. Our experiments consisted of several sessions where two musicians were put in different areas of the university and tried to perform a song together while being subjected to changes in delay as well as sound quality. The aim was to find tolerance boundaries regarding the acceptable delay and sound quality a musician could be subjected to and still be able to perform a song online with a partner. To strengthen our confidence in the results of our subjective study, we analyzed video recordings of the participants of our experiments using machine learning. Specifically, we used facial expression recognition to detect the emotions felt by the participants by utilizing the DeepFace system. DeepFace is an open-source face recognition and facial attribute analysis framework for Python. According to the documentation, it can achieve more than 92% accuracy for facial expression recognition. So how does it work? During the music performance sessions, the faces of our participants were recorded using a camera device. In the data analysis stage of our study, we used the video footage to get data about how their emotional state changed in accordance with the changes they experienced in delay or quality during the sessions. The process of extracting the emotional state data consists of three main stages: pre-processing, feature learning, and feature classification. Pre-processing is required to align and normalize the visual semantic information conveyed by the face. The first step is to detect the face and then remove the background and non-face areas. After pre-processing is completed, the feature learning is performed. The DeepFace system loads a pre-trained neural network that can extract the facial features that are required for the feature classification stage. Basically, it locates the eyes and mouth of the person. Finally, after the features have been extracted, the model classifies the facial expressions into one of the basic emotion categories: anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, surprise, and neutral. This process is repeated for each individual frame of the video, resulting in rich data that describes the emotional state of the person for the duration of each session. The analysis of this data revealed a correlation between the changes in the emotional state of the participants and the changes made in the delay and sound quality during the sessions. So, this sounds cool, but is it better than questionnaires? The positives of this method include: it is inexpensive, quick, and practical. It's easy to implement and not labor-intensive. The data collection time requirements are resource-dependent and require zero labor from the researchers. There are no time or resource requirements for the setup, as there is no need to design interview or survey questions. The data remains uninfluenced by the researcher's personal bias. Emotion detection works in real time, while questionnaires work in hindsight. The emotional state is being measured, which is considered high-quality data when it comes to quality of service assessment. No extra effort is required from the participants apart from using the service or product. No interviews or filling in questionnaires, which may act as a great incentive to find more respondents in general. It is overcoming the language barrier. This method can access people from different backgrounds or cultures without the need for extra resources like translations. It's all-inclusive. As long as a person is able to express emotions with their face, they can partake. This includes people who are illiterate, disabled, or even unable to speak at all. It is suitable for examining sensitive topics like health, religion, politics, and so on. Dishonest answers are almost impossible to exist, since it is very difficult to control the unconscious changes in your facial expressions. The respondent feedback is disconnected from their personal bias. And finally, there is no chance of misunderstanding questions or leaving them unanswered. The drawbacks of this method, based on academic literature as well as my own experiences, include: the method is not instant. Depending on the chosen framework for analysis and the processing power available to the researcher, the speed could vary significantly. For instance, when performing the analysis in our example, using my personal computer as a resource to extract the data of a single session, it would take me 12 hours. It still requires some form of setup, where the participants use a service or product in front of a camera in a controlled environment. Furthermore, unrelated factors to facial expressions affect the results. These factors include differences in posture or lighting, the quality of the camera, as well as different facial characteristics such as age, gender, ethnic background, and level of facial expressiveness. Finally, the accuracy of existing facial expression recognition models is less than optimal. Deep neural networks require large amounts of training data, and the existing facial expression databases available to the public are not sufficient. However, there is a good chance that this might change in the future as increasingly more data becomes available and large organizations such as Google, Amazon, and Microsoft get involved. The method has still a lot of room for improvements. For example, by using thermal vision cameras or monitoring the participants' heart rate, the confidence of the predictions can be improved significantly. Perhaps a new piece of hardware that is designed for this specific task could be developed. Another idea is for an open-source platform to be developed that handles the training of the models as well as the predictions. This way, the community could focus their efforts on improving a single solution that would be accessible to everyone. So, to answer the initial question, is this a better method than questionnaires? At the moment, no. This method is still pretty new and underdeveloped. The prediction accuracy is not optimal, and it has not been sufficiently evaluated to be considered as a reliable data collection method for quality of service assessment. Nevertheless, I would argue that even in the current state of the method, if used in combination with other well-established data collection methods, quality of service assessment results can be significantly improved. Thank you for your time.